Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Bryan Charleau with us. Brian, tell me I pronounce your second name right.
It's Charleau. A little bit of French in there.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, brother. So, for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
Yeah. I guess currently I'm uh, kind of pursuing my own sales career as we speak. I've been in the profession for just over 15 years now. And about, what are we at now? 3.5 years ago, I released a book that I had written on the sales profession and kind of how to get into it, some learning steps to help guide people kind of in that first 6 month to 1 year range. Some of the hurdles that they might face, some questions they might need to have answered, and it kind of just spiraled from there into people reaching out after they had read the book, asking some more personal questions, some more specific to what they were dealing with as they were getting their career going, and it kind of just turned into a little side coaching thing as well while I continue on my own career as well. So lots going on. Definitely keeps me very busy, but I love talking about sales. I can do it all day. So that's why, when coming onto these podcasts and just speaking about it in general, any other questions, I love just shooting from the hip and talking about it. So that's kind of what I do now on my day to day.
Okay, so how do you get started into sales?
How did I personally?
Yeah.
Again, I didn't really have it in my mind. I went to university and was looking into business and marketing, and I got into it in the summer. I just needed, to make a few extra bucks to help pay for my school, pay for a little bit of my social life in between, and kind of caught the edge to keep doing it. I had some initial success, and when I was done university and kind of that, I had to get things going in my career. I came across a sales opportunity that just, once again, just this domino effect that just started. And, all of a sudden you blink and it's 15 years later and you're still in that profession and loving, like I personally love it. And I'm happy that I did take this route.
Okay, so what inspired you to write pitching sales?
The inspiration came from it being really, really difficult to actually get a foothold in having a career in sales. And all of a sudden, once you're in that industry and the profession, you grow a network of other salespeople that you come along with, that you meet along the way. And when you're kind of having, beers together talking about the profession, a lot of stories start coming out and a lot of them overlapped. Given that we all came from different backgrounds, we started in different industries, different countries, different cities. You find that there is this big overlap, especially early on in people's career, that we ran into very similar problems. And it started with the concept of just writing them down, kind of like a little note to myself saying, like, what would have been important or what would have helped me early on in my career? What advice, what scenarios did I run into? What scenarios did other people that I spoke to run into? And I just started jotting them down. I'm like, what would I tell my former self how to get over that situation or how to handle it a little bit differently, a little bit better, how to get over it quicker and move forward instead of dwelling on it. And the concept just kind of kept growing and growing. And finally, like, I bet you there's somebody out there who could use this advice. And if I were, 15 years ago for me, if I picked up this book, would this help me? And the answer became yes. And I kind of wrote it for my former self, knowing that there's someone else out there I could probably use it. And if it helped one person, then hey, it was worth the time. And I really enjoy being able to give back because there were so many people that gave to me and helped me out along the way that I wanted to kind of pay it forward and give it back to new people that were entering the profession.
Is there any specific core idea behind your book?
Not really. It kind of, I really just wanted to start from the beginning. I actually go into even how to apply for a sales job, right from the interview stage to understanding different commissions and how they're structured so that when you're getting into it, you're not intimidated to ask about it or understand the difference between if you're getting commissioned on the net revenue or the gross revenue that is made or the net profits or the gross revenue that's being made, because that's going to make a big difference in your commission structure and understanding it and how much money you're going to make. So the goal is just to kind of walk people through step by step that first year, give or
Mhm.
take. But then at the end of it, also be like, okay, now that's kind of where I'm going to hand you off. And we talked about it ahead of time. I actually recommend a ton of great books to maybe pursue after to help grow on what we're already building on.
Okay, so how should a new rep think about rejection?
There's so many different the hardest part about sales is that there are so many different places that you might get plopped down to start your career. Whether that be depending on the industry that you're in, it could depend on what you're selling, who your first manager is, the onboarding program that they have in place. So it's one of those things where some two people might start at the same starting point, but have two very different resources at their disposal. And the first factor is to try to use the resources that are available to you and kind of sort out whether those are fitting and helping you get to where you need to go. And then exhaust those resources as much as you can as you go. And the reason for that is usually when you're getting into sales for the first time, they overhire and wait for it to weed itself out.
Mhm.
Then they take the people that kind of make it through that first stage and apply a few more resources to them because they've already shown that they can get past that first stage of sales where you're almost dropped in the deep end and said, good luck trying to swim here. I don't necessarily agree with that. I understand it's a necessary evil to
Mhm.
some degree, but what I'm trying to do is help those people that would actually be very good sales professionals that don't get the proper resources to get when they are dropped in that deep end and really help lift them up to show if they actually can succeed in this industry just with a little bit of guidance, a little bit of extra help, because not everybody gets to start from the same spot when it comes to sales. And I find that to be the unfortunate part. This is try to just help out, give everyone a level playing field.
Okay, so what do you think? Like, are there some specific personality traits that a person have that help them become a better salesperson compared to others?
Personally, I don't think so. And I actually talk about that. That's one of the first things, one of the first parts of the book is that having been in this industry for 15 years, anybody can do it. Are there some traits that help a little bit, especially early on? Absolutely. But does that mean that you can't succeed if you are, a little bit shyer personality? You're a little bit more intimidated to walk up to somebody. You're not always the life of the party when you walk into a room. That doesn't matter. In some instances, if you don't know how to harness whatever personality skill you are, it actually might hinder you. If you're over talkative, maybe you're not listening as much. Maybe you're not asking enough questions and you're just, blurting out to your customer, where someone with a little bit more reserved personality might be a better active listener. They might, instead of always thinking about what they're going to say next, they're actually listening to what that customer is saying, taking that information and asking much better questions and getting much better information to help that customer with whatever pain point they're feeling. So I think it can go across the board. I've seen every type of person, and I don't think that that should hinder you. What you need to do is harness what you currently have, be true to yourself, but then point out maybe you have some weaknesses and work on those and kind of build it up together. But don't think because you're a certain personality type, you can't be successful in this.
So, how can someone rebuild confidence after a few bad weeks?
Yeah. A big factor for me is micro goals to keep you on task and find out what helps you. And this is more understanding yourself because sales, as much as you're always and constantly surrounded by people, when it's not going well, you can feel like you're on an island. And you can feel like, especially early on, like you can get some bad thoughts and maybe this isn't for me. Maybe your manager's already moving on from you because they don't, kind of see that drive in you. So you have to be able to figure out internally maybe what's causing this and maybe kind of do an autopsy on yourself in terms of how the past few weeks have been affecting you, what you've been doing. Have you been bringing it to the sales calls yourself? Are you down and you bring that aura when you start speaking with people? Is it bad luck because you've been absolutely, you get hung up on, you call the next person back, or are you moping around and thinking about it? Like you just have to be able to assess the situation. And early on, that's difficult. Go talk to a senior person in your company. Go talk to maybe another salesperson that you know in your network and just air out your grievances for what's going on because if you get into a rut, staying there is the worst place to be in sales because no one's coming to save you because
Mm-hmm.
everyone else out there is still looking after their own career and they have to make sales to provide for themselves and their family. So you really have to take control of your own scenario, and it's very difficult to do early when it's a bad scenario. Anyone can be happy when things are going great and you're getting sales, but when it's down, you have to figure out different approaches to get yourself out of it and then grow with that. So when it happens again, you kind of have that calloused approach and you know kind of how to get out
Mm-hmm.
of it yourself. And then once again, when things are going for you, if you see somebody down, start working and helping them out as best you can, because that's going to help you down the road when maybe it's not going well for you.
Okay, so can you share a belief that salesperson holds very dear, but that you have found is actually wrong and even dangerous for them?
Yeah, I don't agree with everybody's sales approach, unfortunately. And one of the things that I do talk about quite a bit is the kind of the concept that people have of salespeople from outside of the profession, where maybe they've been burned by a salesperson that was manipulative, brash, oversold them something, lied to them about something. And it's unfortunate. Those people are out there. But what I always preach and will constantly do is most of the salespeople out here are good, genuine people who are out there to help the customer and provide for their family and the people who rely on them by helping people. And unfortunately, what happens is that people keep in their mind the times that they were burned by good salespeople, or sorry, that were burned, sorry, by bad salespeople, where they
Mhm.
were sold something that didn't work. They lied about the features that they had, and that sticks with them. What they don't realize is that they're running into very good professional salespeople every day. And the thing is that they're so good that they don't realize that they're being sold. And they actually walk into a car dealership, a furniture shop, an appliance store and explain what they're looking for. The person doesn't just automatically sell them the highest paid thing. They actually listen to what they're talking about and sell them what they need at the price that they were hoping to pay. And that person doesn't stick with them, but they did their job in a professional in a professional way that allowed them to get what they needed. And then they go on with their life, not realizing how well that person did. So unfortunately, you see people that come into this industry that think they have to be that brash, manipulative person to get the sales that they need. And I constantly talk to people that are new to this and I say integrity is the first and foremost spot where you need to start in this profession, because if you go down the road of feeling like you need to lie to people to get sales and you start thinking about yourself first when it comes to this,
Mhm.
you will either have a very short career or you will not want to run into the people that you have sold to when you're walking down the street, a few weeks later. And if in your mind, I always say this is the barometer, if you sell something to somebody, if you ran into them walking down the street with their family a week from now, would you go up and shake their hand or would you turn and duck around the corner so that they didn't see you? And if the answer is you would turn and duck, you are not in this profession for the right reasons. And you're going to have a
Mhm.
very short career or you're going to have to do a lot of moving around. And that's just not a path you want to go down. But unfortunately, it is out there. There's a lot of sales professionals in this world. They're not all going to be the best people. All your mentors aren't always going to have you and what's best for you at the forefront while they're mentoring you. But most of them are, a lot of them are. And that's the people that I really try to highlight instead of those ones, but don't be ignorant enough to think they aren't out there.
Okay, so what personality trait would you attribute majority of your sales success to?
The biggest attribute is putting the customer first and foremost, figuring out what they need, what is based on what I have the ability to sell to them, provide for them, whether it be a product or a service, what is best for them at the price range that they're most capable of paying or what they feel the value is to pay for that. That is the personality trait, in my opinion, which is in my opinion, integrity, being yourself and putting yourself in the shoes of the consumer or that customer that you're dealing with and doing what's right for them. And when you keep that at the forefront, you will get return customers. You will build relationships with those people. They will go and speak to the people around them about your abilities to help. And if they're in need for the similar product or service, to come to you or one of your associates, that's the type of orbit that you want around you. And that just comes day by day by keeping that customer at the forefront. Does that mean that's always going to be a fit? That customer might walk in and not need what I'm selling. And if you have the professionalism to maybe explain that to them, maybe we don't offer what you have, or maybe the price range that you are thinking isn't going to fix the pain points that you're having. These are the conversations that you need to be having each and every day. And if you do that, that is when you start building a career. Instead of just having a sales job, you're now having a sales career.
Okay, so for our listeners who want to connect with you, get some help from you, or want to read your book, where can they go?
Easiest thing for reading the book, I have it here. It's called Pitching Sales: Complete Guide to Becoming a Sales Professional. You can just easily get that on Amazon. I have it on paperback or in Audible, or you can go to my website, pitchingsalesconsulting.com. You can order it from there. There's a link. But kind of like what we talked about too, one of my biggest goals, if I'm speaking to someone or someone reads my book or they're new to the profession, is I want to not only take them and help them out with those initial steps, but I also want to kind of give them a handoff, because I only kind of outline those first foundational skills. I want to make sure that they have the ability to go seek out more help once they're done with what I'm able to offer them. So there's tons of book recommendations on that website. They can always reach out on Instagram too, because I run that myself anyways. But it's this, again, it's changing that mindset from having a job to a career where you provide for yourself and the people around you. That's the whole goal, is to flip that mindset and be doing the right things day over day. And that's really what I try to preach within that book, and then help guide them after, and make sure they're on the right path moving forward.
So, with all the success you have, what's your current challenge now?
Well, the current challenge is still selling day to day. I have my own sales job at the same time. So that's why it's always fun to talk to these people that are getting into it. It's not as if I'm not out doing the same things that I'm saying that they should be doing from a foundational level, because I have to sometimes remind myself. And I get into these ruts too. I'm human just like anybody else. When they're in this, whether you've been in it for 6 months or 15 years or 25 years, you're going to face some of the same reoccurring challenges. And I think that's what helps me put it into perspective, is that I'm facing the same challenges that these people that are new to it, just kind of in a different mold. And maybe I've faced this situation a few more times, and I've had real life stories and success stories about how either I got out of it or someone I know got out of it, or I've even referred them to people I know, because I'm like, you know what, that person's actually in that industry. Maybe I can shoot them a message and kind of find out. So challenges every day, they just pop up on their own. I don't need to go looking for them. They come to me. So that's the beauty about sales, in my opinion, is that the days are not monotonous when you're out there getting in front of the customers. They will come and ask you something you have not heard before, and really make you scratch your head and say, how do I solve this for that person? And then you rely on those resources. So really early on, you're getting the same problems. You just don't have that like I said, those calluses, that built up um situation where you've dealt with it before. So that's why I always say, like, you have to get out there and learn these tangible things that happen to salespeople every day. And the only way to do it is to experience it firsthand and fall in your face and do it again. And as you face these reoccurring challenges and these
Mhm.
objections, and as you get further and further in the sales cycle and stumble, it's okay not to always get the sale, as long as you've kept moving forward and you learn something from it, because 15 years down the road, that same challenge might happen. You go, oh wait, that happened to me, a while back. This is how I solved it. This is how I got over it. So yeah, the challenges are always out there. They'll find you. So just, if you keep positive attitude out there and customer facing, you'll have lots to deal with on a daily basis.
Okay, Brian, thank you so much for joining us and spending some time with us. It was really fun having you here.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on the podcast. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully we helped a listener or two out there.